to protect wildlife and the illegal trade.
Right.
Yet it seems that the actual carrying out of it is where there's a big gap. We've seen with CITES that there's so many nicely rules and regulations. When it comes to a country like Zimbabwe,
Right.
they send more elephant calves to China and nobody protests anymore, almost, because it's impossible to stop it. What would be a body, and my thoughts keep going towards the United Nations, would there be anything in that construction to work on this, to actually have the power to interfere at some point?
I think. Well, I don't know the answer to your larger question. I think the problem boils down to. Well, let me back up. You're absolutely right. I think that there is the legal frameworks in most of these countries is absolutely fine. It's adequate. But I think what happens is they fail on the enforcement side, and it's not necessarily that they're failing because they're not trying. It's not necessarily that they're failing because they don't have the resources. Oftentimes they have the resources. Where they're often failing is that they don't have a real rule of law. And so if someone gets arrested, but they get a slap on the wrist or they're bribed out of jail, that takes away from the ability to actually have a deterrent effect, both a specific deterrent effect and a general deterrent effect. And it also tends to legitimize what they're doing and take away the stigma of actually being charged with
actually
crime.
Encourage.
Yeah, so it tends to have, in a perverse way, almost encourage it because it makes it into a bit of a joke. So I think really what the world can do is stop corruption and actually try to keep on developing a rule of law. That's probably the first and foremost thing that the world can do. If you raise the standard of living, if you raise the level of the institutions in the local countries, I think that would be really good. Other thing, I think all the countries enacted some version of the Lacey Act in the United States. That would be a huge win.
Yeah, because so far the world has been helping, sending aid, sending money, and it goes practically nowhere. So to keep on doing that, it's like the bucket was the holes in it. And we don't have the time anymore. I mean, elephants and rhinos don't have the time anymore. So would there be a shortcut somewhere?
And you're talking
in
about
an ideal world.
You're talking about some sort of international court type of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the short answer is I really don't know. I don't know how that would be viewed in the developing countries, whether that would be end up being viewed as a version of imperialism. I know that even the United States has difficulties with the international court. I think in theory it makes a lot of sense, but there's all of the issues with sovereignty and empowering local peoples. So I don't know. But on the other hand, you've got a crisis and you have the local communities not being able to actually police themselves. I do think, though, that if you could shine a very bright light and get rid of the corruption, and there's simple ways of doing that, then you can do a lot of good. I'll give you a very simple example. If you assign someone to follow every arrest, from that arrest all the way through appeal, and they sit there and they blog on it, and they go to court in every hearing, and they blog on it, then the odds of that person that case getting thrown out because of some sort of bribe, it is diminished dramatically.
Absolutely.
And once you do that, then those people are looking at real time in jail. And once they're looking at real time in jail, they have an incentive to cooperate with the authorities, and you start dismantling these networks. So the NGOs, if they want to do something, send a bunch of 20-something-year-olds who are going to tweet about every little arrest that happens in these countries and really kind of publicize everything. I think that would be very useful.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.